Hey guys, welcome to today's video. In this video, we are going to understand one more graph concept. So without further delay, let's get started. So before we start, what we have learned till now, let's revise. So what we have learned how to represent a graph. So we understood that adjacency list versus adjacency matrix. So this thing we have learned. Second thing is how to identify the graph questions. These two things we have learned in the previous video. Now we need to know how do we traverse the graph. So if you know, graph is also a type of tree, right? So for tree traversal we use DFS and BFS. So in this case also we are going to traverse graph also with these two algorithm. Okay, so let's start with DFS. So what is the meaning of DFS? So DFS is depth first search. So D is for depth. So how do we traverse? We go to a depth of a node and we traverse it till we reach to the other point, or if no other nodes are left out. Okay. Okay. So let's take an example of this graph. If you start from here, suppose we started from 1, so we are going to 2 and then 2 to 3. So we need to go till we find the depth of each node. So that is called a depth first search. But if you see in graph, we never had a problem that we cannot run into a cycle in a graph. In tree, you can never have a cycle, like you can never run into the same node again. But this is not with the graph. Suppose you started with 0, you traverse to 2, now from 2 again you can come back to 0, right? So or there is one more cycle. So suppose you started from 1 and you traverse to 2, now you traverse to 2, now from 2 to 0, now again you need to traverse 0 to 1. Okay, so this is one of the problem with the graph traversal. So how we are going to resolve this? So we are going to have a boolean array, or you can take any other data structure, but with the array, what we are going to do, suppose we have 4 nodes over here, we are going to have an array of size 4, 0, 1, 2, 3, and we are going to mark this as false in the starting. And once we traverse any node, suppose we have traversed 1, so we are going to mark 1 as true, that we have already traversed it. Now we traverse to 2 and we are going to mark 2 also as true. Now from 2 we need to go to the depth, so we can go to either 0 or 3. So we are going to go to 0 and we are going to mark it as true. So this is also traverse. Now from 0 we can either go to 1 or we can go to 2, right? But if you go to 1, the 1 is already traversed, so we will not go. Then we will see if we need to go to 2, so 2 is also traversed, then we are going to backtrack. So once we come back to 2, from 2 we can go to 3. So 3 is not visited, we are going to mark that as also true. So once all the nodes are visited, so your depth first search is done. So it is very easy. So let's try to write the code for this, so our concepts become much more clearer. So before we start writing the code, what we are going to do, we are going to create an agency list. So this list you need to create for every code. Almost 99% of the graph questions you need to create agency list, or the questions will already be given with the agency list. So because agency list is nothing like, it's a representation of a graph. So until and unless you don't represent a graph, how you are going to traverse it? Okay, so let's clean this up a bit and then we are going to restart. Okay, so now it is all cleaned up. We are going to create an agency list. Okay, let's name it ADJ. So we are going to create an array. So array will be of same size of as the nodes. So it is 0, 1, 2, 3. So these are the array list array. Okay, so we are going to have a list associated with all the arrays. So now let's create the agency list. So if you see, from 0th node we can go to 1, and we can go to 2. So from 0 we can go to 1 and 2. So from 1 we can go to 2 and nowhere else. Okay, now from node 2 we can go to 3 and we can go to 0, 3 and 0, and from node 3 we can not go to anywhere. Okay, so now we have our agency list ready. So we can go back. We are going to write a method void, let's write it DFS. So what all things we'll be needing? First and the foremost thing is our ADJ, that is much required. Now from the source, okay, so we are going from where we are going to start our graph traversal. So let's take it as u. Now the third thing is, to avoid the cycle, we are going to take the boolean array as visited. Okay, so these three things are needed. Okay, now what we are going to do? So since we are going to traverse each node, we need to first check whether that particular node is already visited or not. That's what we learned, right? So we are going to add a if condition, and we are going to check if visited of u is equal to true or not. Or since it's Java, so we can simply just write if it is visited. So this means if it is true, okay, then we are not going to do anything, we are going to just return it. Okay, we don't have to do anything. Now here comes the main part. So now since the node we are currently visiting, it is not visited, so now we are going to mark it as visited. So visited, oh sorry, so we are going to write visited of u is equal to true. Okay, so now we marked it as visited. Now what we are going to do, we are going to visit its each neighbor, right? So like from 0 we are going to visit 1 2, from 1 to 2, from 2 to 2 and 0. Okay, so we are going to visit that. So how we are going to do? So we are going to write a for loop. Okay, so it's int v colon adj of u. Okay, since u has each u, so these are u and these are v's, so each u has a list, right? This is inside a list, so it's a array of array list. So for each u you have each one, like for 0 you have 1 2, for 1 you have 2. So suppose for u is 0, so our v will become 1 and 2. Okay, if u is equal to 0, so our v will become 1 and 2. If my current node is not visited, visitd visited, it's not visited, then only we are going to perform the DFS on that particular node. So the same thing, we are going to pass adj, my current node is v and the visited array, right? That's it. Okay, this is DFS. This is the thing which you need to by heart. You don't have to memorize it. Now since you understand each step, you should be able to recognize it. Okay, now you should be able to write it by yourself. This is very simple. The main logic is only 2 to 3 lines. You should be able to do it, right? Hope you understood this DFS, and see you in the next. Thank you.